Sales. Have you ever really thought about sales? Maybe you have and you're like, it's not for me. I don't like sales. I don't want to be in sales. And who would if you kind of picture what we think a salesperson is? Most of us have a pretty negative picture of that. Some of us have never really even thought of sales. We're like, hey, my background is not in sales. I never wanted it to be in sales. I want nothing to do with sales. But if you think about it, what do all of us do? No matter what our job is, what do we really do all day long? No matter what your job is, you spend a good portion, and our data shows about 40% of your time having to sell, having to persuade. Even if it's not that traditional front line having to close deals and make sales, you're still having to sell and you're still having to persuade. Think about that. Let's say you're a CEO. At least 40% of your time is spent trying to sell the board, trying to sell investors, trying to sell the rest of your leadership team on your ideas. Let's say you're an author and you write books. An author, they would never be in sales. You've got to sell publishers on picking up that book. You've got to sell readers on buying it. Everything that you do in your work, let's say you're a teacher, way more than 40% of sales, time spent in sales. You've got to sell these kids on showing up to class on time, on paying attention, on getting excited about science or math. No matter what your job is, our data shows at least 40% of your time, both in your professional life and in your personal life, you're having to sell someone or some group on your ideas. So if you start to think about sales that way, starts to seem to be a pretty vital skill. Now, if you're anything like me, and I used to be like this years ago, I used to say, hey, I'm not a born salesperson, right? First of all, I had that idea that's really a misconception that salespeople are, they're kind of gross, right? I'm not that type of person. I'm not a born salesperson. Well, here's the good news. First of all, that is a misconception. Great salespeople are the furthest thing from gross. Great salespeople are the furthest thing from being pushy, right? They're great communicators. They understand how to persuade. They understand how to articulate their ideas and to get people to see their way. The really good news is nobody is born that way. Science proves that nobody is born with the gift of selling. It's a very specific process, and the even better news is everybody can learn it. Here's the problem that people face. People start to put themselves in positions where they need to sell, they need to persuade. Starts very early in our life, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old. You want a toy or you want some candy. Some of us figure out, maybe we stumble into it. Some of us get a little training, but the ones that do well, they figure out early, here's what I need to do in the process to be able to explain my position and get my way, to be able to persuade. Well, that's a very small group. The large group out there, we try it and we fail. We get rejected. Who likes rejection? None of us like rejection. So we give up on sales. We say, sales, that's not for me, right? That's being pushy, because when we try something and we're not being pushy and we fail, we get rejected, we automatically assume that we've got to be pushy to get our way. We've got to be sleazy. We've got to be that used car salesman in that polyester suit that I'm sure you pictured that person in your mind when I said sales. Well, here's the great news. You can learn how to sell. You can learn how to persuade. You can make your life easier. If you have any questions at all, maybe there's a particular area that you're struggling with, I want you to leave a comment on this video, and I hope you'll hit like, and I hope you subscribe to this channel. My name's Matt Easton. I've devoted my life to getting better at sales, to learning these processes that we're talking about. And now I want to help people. I want to help people just like you. So please subscribe to this channel. If there's anything at all that you need, I want to personally get involved and help you. I will read every single one of your comments, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, I want you to be great, and I want you to think differently about sales. I'll see you soon.